Our engine was lying at a height of about 3-4 story building. Okay, toppled coaches accompanied the engine below it. The whole situation was so chaotic. People crying for help, little children looking out for their parents. The first thing that came to his mind when he saw the situation was that he could feel death in the air. And the very first thing I see when my flashlight hits the railway track was a severed head. Severed head that had been so disfigured that that particular scene actually will make the strongest of people even weak in the knees. I remember being on the upper berth of our coach, and I was reading a book. And when around 6:30, 6:35, we hear a loud bang. Okay, and this bang was not some kind of a sound that would be feeble. It was loud enough for us to hear it inside the well-insulated coaches of the first AC. Okay, anybody who has been inside an AC coach would know that the noises outside come in at a very muffled frequency, and you barely could make out what exactly is going on outside. And but this noise was loud enough for all of us to be alert all of a sudden. And this particular noise accompanied about 40-50 seconds of a jerk, which pushed all the passengers to the front of the coach, towards the engine. Now, I was fortunate enough, to hold on to a railing in my berth, and I balanced myself so that I would not fall down. And after about 50-60 seconds, I could say 1 minute, probably 1 minute, the train comes to a screeching halt. And at this point of time, every one of us in that particular berth in our coach as well, we knew that something had occurred, some incident had occurred. So we were quick enough to get down with only our valuables like our mobile phones and our wallets. We just wanted to make sure what exactly lay ahead of us, because the first emotion is the fear of unknown at this point of time. We don't know what exactly is going on. We don't know how the situation is, and when we opened the door to get down, it was just another scene from another world. Because what lie of us are the three derailed coaches of the Yeshwanthpur Express. So we see these three derailed coaches on the opposite track, besides the opposite track, and there are about 150-200 people rushing out of those coaches, trying to evacuate others, and they were coming to us.
It was the twilight hour when tragedy struck. In one of the deadliest train collisions in the country in recent times, almost 300 people died in Odisha's Balasore district when 3 trains, 2 fast-speed passenger ones and 1 freight, collided. Signaled to enter the loop line, the Coromandel Express rammed into a stationary freight train already in position, causing multiple coaches to derail in the opposite direction. The incoming Howrah Express collided at full speed with the strewn bogies, leading to unmitigated disaster.
And I remember my co-passenger over there, who accompanied me while we came back home. We were discussing this sequence of events, and he put forth a particular phrase that I still remember. He said that the first thing that came to his mind when he saw the situation was that he could feel death in the air. Because when we passed the 2 to 3 coaches in front of us and we started moving towards the exact location where the engine had hit the goods train, you won't believe me when I tell you this, that there were bloodied bodies everywhere. Dead bodies lying on a left, on a right, everywhere. Because the tracks were also uprooted, there were low-hanging wires of the railway. When we put our flashlights, I remember this clearly. I was trying to jump over a wire that was hanging low, and the very first thing I see when my flashlight hits the railway track was a severed head. Severed head that had been so disfigured that that particular scene actually will make the strongest of people even weak in the knees. I remember that there was this boy of around 17, 18 years of age, and he was carrying another person who probably was his father. This boy had a deep cut on his forehead, which had hurt his right eye. I remember this clearly because I helped both of those people to a nearby ambulance. He had a cut on his forehead. He was bleeding profusely, but the person he was carrying, an older person, had a severed left arm. So he called us. He told us that please help me. Just take him to the nearby ambulance, and I can walk to the ambulance. I am not worried about myself. Just take him to the nearby ambulance. So he was probably family, probably his father. I did not ask. And we took that person to the nearby ambulance. And there are many other such people who had severed arms, fractured legs that could, that scares you so much just by looking at the scenario.
In India, life is cheap. We saw it during the second wave of COVID, the devastating second wave of the pandemic, and we've seen it again after the Odisha rail accident. Dead bodies were being flung into an open truck and being piled one on top of the other. In India, life is not just cheap, it is also stripped of all dignity sometimes. We also don't look back. At least 2 people, including a young boy, were found to be alive under the pile of these bodies. India's deadliest train crash took place in 1981 near the village of Saharsa in Bihar. The head-on collision between 2 express trains left more than 800 people dead. On August 20th, 1995, the Purushottam Express collided with the stationary Kalindi Express near Firozabad. The official death toll was around 400. There was also the Khanna rail disaster, which took place in November in 1998 when the Jammu Tawi Sialda Express collided with 3 derailed Frontier Golden Temple Mail coaches at Khanna, killing more than 200 people. The initial derailment was caused by a broken rail. In August 1999, the Gaisal train disaster occurred when the Brahmaputra mail crashed into the stationary Awadh Assam Express at Gaisal station, killing more than 285 people and injuring over 300. A majority of these victims were from the Army, BSF and CRPF personnel. Why did almost 300 passengers not make it alive to their destination? Has Indian Railways been ambitious with its expansion, focusing on the high-profile Vande Bharat trains while forgetting to take infrastructure upgrade along with it? The Prime Minister, who has personally been inaugurating a slew of new trains, was scheduled to give the green flag to the Goa-Mumbai train when the accident took place. It is worth asking, does India need shiny railway stations that mimic airports when it continues to be the primary form of transport for the poor and the lower middle class, whose safety is a roll of the dice? Disasters in India are usually followed by a set pattern. Investigation teams and committees are formed, and what should have been dealt with as a peremptory act is tackled post-haste.
The interlocking system, which was to prevent the Coromandel Express entering onto the loop line and colliding with the goods train, which led to the tragedy, seems to have failed. The system, in theory, is fail-safe. So how did this happen? The fact is that such instances have happened in the past, and invariably inquiry has revealed that they were the result of maintainers being under pressure to complete a task and were not given the block required to do so, because the controller itself was under great pressure not to stop trains.
India's rail network is the 4th largest in the world and amongst the busiest, with 13,000 trains crisscrossing the nation daily with a route length of 68,000 kilometers. It remains the country's lifeline with 8.01 million passengers annually. Just one accident is a blot and one too many. There are allegations that passenger welfare has been compromised through shortfalls on multiple fronts. A report from the Comptroller and Auditor General CAG last year flagged the decline in funds allocated for track renewal, a trend noticeable in the last 5 years. This report was tabled in Parliament in December 2022. What is worse, the report also says that funds have been underutilized when it comes to urgent railway safety tasks. For instance, only 20.74 crore rupees out of the total expenditure cost of 689.90 crores rupees were used for track renewal on Western Railways in 2019 2019-2020. This is just 3% of the funds. Who is answerable? Another problem is of vacancies that have not been filled. There are about 3.12 lakh posts that are lying vacant, overburdening those who are employed and compromising their efficiency. The Kavach train collision avoidance system, which was cleared in March 2022 after being in the pipeline for almost a decade, works by deploying brakes automatically when two trains seem headed for a collision. However, it has covered just 2.13% of India's 68,000 kilometer rail network and was not available on the Balasore route.
The railway has reached this stage because relentless increase in trains has been made because the ministers since the 1970s have been under great political pressure to do so. Some of the sections are highly congested and are working at 125% of capacity. This can only happen by cutting into the maintenance time. The other force is that the Railway Board finds it extremely difficult, or has been finding it extremely difficult, to say no to the minister until capacity is built up to meet the increasing traffic. Some steps have been now taken to build this capacity, but it will take time before they show results. In the meantime, the number of trains have to be reduced to let the system recoup. The systems are also to match with the technology. If we can do this, the system can be made safe. The issue is not technical. The issue is in a way political, for it is the minister who has to bite the bullet of saying no more trains and cutting back on some which already exist.
Demands for Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw's resignations have precedence. From Lal Bahadur Shastri, Nitish Kumar, Madhav Rao Scindia to Mamta Banerjee, many have taken responsibility. But accountability was a casualty during the second wave of the pandemic, and the pattern is now more the norm. It is unlikely that the minister will resign. Nor is it easy to run the railways portfolio as a part-time minister. Vaishnaw also holds the multiple portfolios of electronics, communications and information technology. Just hours after the train accident, a 4-lane under-construction bridge over the river Ganga collapsed in the state of Bihar. This for the second time in 14 months. While we wait to hear the final word on whether the accident was mechanical failure or man-made, corruption and shortcuts are an integral part of a system which has not been able to get rid of it. Last year, there was the Morbi suspension bridge collapse in Gujarat, which plunged hundreds into the river below. 9 people were arrested, including 2 ticketing clerks and 3 security guards. Demands for a CBI inquiry and whispers of a sabotage after the train accident are once again setting up for the unsuspecting to be the fall guy. Locals were the first respondents at the accident site. Later, a large number queued up at hospitals to give blood to the injured. For others waiting to receive friends and relatives at the railway station, they have gone back with the intangible ex gratia payment. All said and done, life is not precious enough in our country. Instead of hundreds of passengers, all that remains is ex gratia payment. So hundreds of bodies have still not been identified, but the trains are back, crisscrossing Balasore. In India, life moves on.
It is not every day that you see situations like this. Yeah. And of course, this is going to be etched in our memories. Of course, this is going to create some kind of a mental issue later on. But as of now, as of yesterday night as well, because it was a weekend and I rested very, very well, and my family was there. They were comforting enough to understand that I needed some time as well. And I have been recounting all these horrors because of numerous interviews and the channels that I've been approaching. But I understand now that I started going back to my daily routine today only. And the therapist that I talked to, she was also kind enough to let me know that probably any kind of trauma is going to set in only after a few days. So it is not like suddenly you have a switch that you get to understand that you're having traumatic experiences. So she really asked me to take things slow. I am going to adhere to that. And yes, this will be etched in our memories forever. And I really don't, I really wish that nobody has to, go through this situation again.